Now, Deval, I have to say, when I start talking like this, there are a lot of folks in Washington who start rolling their eyes and say, oh, he's talking about hope again. He's such an idealist. He's a hope peddler. He's a hope monger. That's all right. It's all right. I stand guilty as charged. I am a hopeful man. I am an optimist about America. I'm optimistic because I'm optimistic about you, because I've been talking to you. And I know you want change. I know you want something new. Maybe I'm just hopeful because I haven't been in Washington that long. That's what I think a lot of people suspect. They say, you know, yeah, he talks good, he's got good ideas, but we haven't stewed him, we haven't seasoned him enough in Washington. We haven't made him think and talk like us. And I have to remind folks that Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld had two of the longest resumes in Washington. So longevity doesn't guarantee good judgment. A long resume says nothing about your character. And Deval's absolutely right. This election is about character. This election is about values. This election is about judgment and the experience that comes not just from sitting in a committee room, but the experience of working alongside and believing in the American people. So let me tell you about the experience that has shaped my character. I've got the experience of working together to get things done. Because I've seen Republicans and Democrats in the state legislature join together to provide Illinoisans health care under the leadership of legislation that I introduced. I know it can happen. I've brought together police officers and law enforcement with civil rights advocates to reform a death penalty system that was broken. I've seen it happen. I've worked with Republicans in the United States Senate to advance the next stage of arms control legislation, to create more transparency and accountability in our government. I've seen it happen. I know it can happen. What's required is leadership. What's required is a sense that we are not apart, that we are in it together. That's the kind of experience I bring to this race for the presidency of the United States of America. I bring the experience of taking on the special interests, even when it's hard. You know, at every level of government, I don't just talk about change, I've implemented change. And I've done it even when it's resisted, not just by Republicans, but by members of my own party. In Illinois, we passed the first campaign ethics reform legislation in 25 years so that government would be more accountable to its people. Last year, working with Russ Feingold, we eliminated gifts from lobbyists and meals from lobbyists and corporate jets from lobbyists because we can't solve health care if we don't get rid of the influence of lobbyists. So I don't just talk about change, I've lived change. I've brought about change. I have stood up when it's tough to stand up, not just when it's easy to stand up, like I did in 2002. Some of you remember, the drums of war were beating back in 2002. It's hard to imagine, but George Bush was at 65% in the polls. That's right, he was. Some of y'all might have even liked him back then. I know y'all won't admit it now. Hell, we say we all make mistakes. And I was invited to an anti-war rally. And I was advised by some of my colleagues and some of my friends and supporters, you better not go. You know, Bush is popular, the war is popular right now, and if the war goes well, you know, you may be throwing away your career. You're in the middle of a U.S. Senate race. It's not a good time for you to step out. Wait and see what might happen. And I said to them, I don't want to start my career as a United States Senator lying to myself and lying to the people of America. That's how I want to begin my career. And so I know something about standing up for what's right. Not just reading the polls, not just putting my finger out to the wind, but standing up for what I think is right.